Hey everybody, Daniel Ramsey here, and I've got Ed Bogen here, and we are going to talk, yes, he is going to talk about sphere of influence gold, and it's kind of his unique way of driving business and revenue for his business in South Florida. Ed, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, Daniel, first of all, thank you so much. I'm a big fan of your business, and RA, who I know will be listening, my virtual professional, has been instrumental in business, and I owe it to MyOutDesk, so thank you.
Well, thanks for that. We're excited to have you here today. I know what's interesting about what we were talking about is you kind of do things a little different. Like you've had a cocktail party since you were 25 every single month. Is that right?
No, every quarter, just about once a quarter, I have a cocktail party, and it's something I've done since I was 25. Actually, the first thing that happened, I was in college. I had a roommate named David. We had a crazy landlord who, if we were late by an hour with the rent, he'd come over breaking things in our house. He was nuts. His name was Samir. Anyway, the guy came over and we really couldn't pay the rent. So we were able to get our fraternity to put up money for a keg. And if you came to the party, you paid $5 at the door and I'd give you a cup. And if you lost the cup, you got to give us another $5. I mean, my customer service mindset's changed since then, but you got a cup. We had 500 people through the course of the night. We did 2,500 in revenue, 800 for the provisions. Okay, so let's do the math. 800 minus this amount left a $1,700 profit. We split that 50-50 with the fraternity, so they got $850, we got $850. 800 went to Samir, the landlord, and we had $50. And I said to myself, wow, when I'm older, I want to incorporate this into my business. And sure enough, that was probably the biggest lesson I got from college.
I love it. I love it. So, okay, you do a cocktail party. Mm-hmm. You also have your own podcast and a mastermind, a think tank, as you would call it. So today's video for everybody who's listening is really focused on driving revenue with a little bit different of a marketing mindset. And I like how you break up your sphere of influence to like sphere of influence gold, which I love, and then one, like important but not gold. So I think this is going to be a great show. But let's start. What made you think of doing a podcast, and how has that helped you as a real estate broker and agent drive revenue for your business?
Well, you know, first of all, I think you know that I'm a big fan of Pat Hyben.
Yep.
And Real Estate Rockstars. I think the guy is funny. I think he's well spoken. I think he puts on a great show. And I said to myself, I really, really like this format. And I'm wondering, is there room for more? Now, I'm sure he would probably say no, but but I looked at this, and given the relationships I have within Douglas Elliman Real Estate, my broker, I thought I could get access to some of the best people within the company. And not only that, but people will listen to it. And I'll build a relationship with the very people like you and I. This is our second meeting like this. I feel like I know you pretty well. I mean, we don't, we've never shaken hands, but that's the world we live in. So that was really a driving factor.
That's cool. And what about this think tank, a mastermind group? Like, what was the brainchild and reasoning around that?
Sure. The name of the group is called RAIN Nation. It stands for Real Estate Information Group Network.
Okay.
That may or may not be a good name, but what we really do with it is every Wednesday morning from 9 to 9:30, that's Eastern time, I can't tell you, Paul Zwiebin, top Douglas Elliman agent in New York City, Rafi Bass, top Douglas Elliman agent in Aspen, top agents both Elliman and non-Elliman in California, Connecticut, New Jersey, Washington, D.C. We've got someone new from Chicago. I want to stress it doesn't have to be an Elliman person. And we get together and we talk about whatever topic will come up for the week. It might be how to manage leads. It might be what to do with your sphere of influence. It might be dealing with difficult clients. I'm sure we're going to do something now about the coronavirus and like what are we doing in the wake of financial collapse or possible collapse? How do you actually grow? And I found that I've given in the last 3 years about $25 million in referrals out. Many others have given millions and millions of dollars of referrals out. So from a business growth standpoint, it's been great. But also from a knowledge base, it's been even more important. This is my coaching session, and it's low cost, and it's in fact free. And people are really, really loving it. So, you know, that's been a big factor in my business.
And all three of those are marketing, like they're marketing vehicles for your business. You drive revenue into it. Like let's break that down, because you have a virtual assistant and you're doing these unique kind of marketing things that I've never heard of anybody doing those three different things together to drive revenue. So how has it helped you? Like what has it done for your business?
Well, my virtual assistant works from Tuesdays to Saturdays. That was the other thing I really loved about MyOutDesk. I was able to schedule a time that worked for me. Yep. And it'll start at 10 a.m., not 9 a.m., which is even great. So he works from 10 to 7 with some lunchtime. And tomorrow he will automatically, without me saying, prepare my weekly email newsletter to my sphere of influence, my SOI Gold, SOI 1, and everyone else.
Yeah.
He will research interesting articles about real estate online and put into that format for me. He will follow up with people who came to my cocktail party and send certain emails and invites for future cocktail events. I just rented the ballroom here at my country club and had a big presentation. He was a driving factor in getting that room filled up. So what I do clearly is in sync with what your company is delivering. And just by the sheer exposure, the phone rings. Last night I got an Instagram message. Hey Ed, how are sales in St. Andrews Country Club where I live? Well, this is someone who I haven't heard from in a year.
Yep.
You know, let's do a little clickbaiting here. There's something going on. Why, are you thinking about listing? No, my sister is. Okay, I've got an appointment now. Well, this is a $4 million house. Right. This is something that really is, it's not a little bit of money. I mean, maybe to some of the big shots that are listening, it's a lot of money to Ed.
No, so, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, and that was clearly a social media driven person. The biggest deal I did last year was for $5 million. And the guy who gave it to me, I'm friendly with him, but we're not best friends. And he said, how could I possibly forget you? Well, what he's really saying is that he's seeing all the material that I'm putting out there. So it's working.
I love it. What are you using your virtual assistant to help in that? I know you have a big social media kind of following. You do are you doing a lot of videos and kind of posts about your community, or what does your social media look like?
That's next. You see, everyone's hearing this before RA's hearing it. Yeah. There is more videos. One thing that I used to do, which I'm going to start again, you interview a prominent member of the community. For example, there's a man here, I interviewed him. He's in his mid-90s. He was President Eisenhower's speechwriter. How amazing is that?
That's interesting.
What a guy, what a knowledge base to tap into. That's worthy of a video. That's worthy of people in my community just saying, wow. And I don't have to say the word real estate. I don't have to say the word sales. I just have to show up. I have to be associated with that. And that's what I'd like to impress upon everyone, that people love to buy, but they hate to be sold.
Yep.
So let's get yourself set up for the layup. I don't want you to make the long dunk. I want you to make the layup. I want you to be right there, ready to take the shot.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's ask, I'm curious, what's your ratio to like calls to action inside of your stuff where you say, hey, I'll do a shameless plug. We just wrote a book, and if you'd like to get it, we're going to give it away free in this video. What's your ratio of providing value to doing a call to action for what you do, which is sell real estate in South Florida?
Sure. It's a good question. I need to kind of break down the numbers on that. I have an Instagram story on my Instagram page, Edmund Bogen, EDMUND BOGEN. Every day it's called Making You Smarter. My podcast is called Making a Smarter Agent.
Yep.
I always say, if you want to buy or sell real estate in South Florida, my number's right below. Make it a great and safe day. Yep. So if that's what you mean by call to action, then yes, a lot. As far as the type of call to action where I say, look at this beautiful home, I could sell a beautiful home. If you have a beautiful home, call me with your beautiful home. That's just not me. I'm not saying that it's wrong. One of the beautiful things about real estate, you could talk to 10 different people who've made their millions in 10 different ways. It's all about how you're comfortable connecting with people. And that's We've spoken before. I believe that at the heart of it, I'm a marketing guy who happens to have his own real estate business as the only client. I don't really look at myself as the real estate guy.
Yep. What's the hardest thing about building out these three different kind of lead generation systems, the events or cocktail parties, the mastermind, and the podcast? What do you think if an agent is listening and they want to kind of, decide to do one of these three things, what's some of the challenges that you've overcome in order to put those things on?
You got to get out of your head. It's going to rain. In 25 years of doing, I'm 50, I'll be 52 in May. So it's literally been almost 27 years that I've been having cocktails. If you count roughly at least 3 a year, to be conservative, that's 75 events. Okay, yes. That's a lot of things that have gone on for the sole purpose of this. And in those 75 different days, it's going to rain. There's going to be a virus. There's going to be something that's going to come up that's going to stop people from coming over there. But here's the good news. The marketing began when people got invited, not when they showed up to the event.
Right.
They're on the list. They will call me back. Is Ed calling me to sell me something, or is he calling me to invite me somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
It's worth calling him back.
Mm-hmm.
If 5 people show up, I've gotten more opportunity out of the smaller events than I have off the big ones. And as far as my podcasts go, I may very well get more out of a relationship with you than somebody watching. I mean, I hope I could build a relationship and help anyone, and I hope I could get some, but sometimes it's just, if you really break it down to what's smaller, you could really win a lot more.
One thing I was curious about as you were talking about your sphere of influence and gold and one, I know that this is your list of 500 folks. How do you treat your gold list differently than sphere of influence one? And why did you choose those names? By the way, they're funny names. I'm not sure why, but I love that you've designated those differences. Maybe you could explain that to the audience.
Well, again, it was more psychological. Sphere of influence, I didn't make that up. So SOI, people are used to it. And I thought, okay, we could do SOI 1 and then SOI 2, but that doesn't really give, 2 didn't feel right. These are still really important people.
Yeah.
Just slightly under the gold. So, if someone's bought and sold a home with me, particularly more than once, they're SOI gold. I mean, they're going to be someone, if they've given me leads, if they try. There's people that have paid me nothing, but there's one woman, she's 84 years old. I adore her. She lives in my community. She always calls me up and says, "Oh my God, Edmund, they're going to be moving. You need to call them." And it's almost always listed with somebody else, but she's thinking of me. So she's SOI gold. I mean, she's part of your, the people that really want to make you win.
Yeah.
Your spouse, your father, your mother, your, clients that you've sold to. What are you doing to maintain relationships with these people? Well, the SOI gold, I definitely want to reach out to them like 5 or 6 times a year by phone. I want to speak to them. I don't want to just leave a message. I want to speak to them. I want to take them for lunch. I want to make sure they get a personalized invite to my cocktail. I want to be able to get them to some of my, not only parties, but conferences I put on, or I have webinars as well we haven't discussed. I'm working on getting Israel's top expert on Iraq to do a webinar from Tel Aviv. I could do it on the same platform that we're using here.
Right.
The people in my community care about that stuff. Notice I'm not saying buy real estate. There is the call to action. They know what Ed does. I run into them at the gym. There's opportunity.
Right.
That's
is all of your podcasts, webinars, events, is it always centered around content or adding value to your people and not real estate sales?
It's always. I think that, if you look at the content, I mean, sure, have I done a Facebook Live at an open house? Of course I have. I mean, that's just what, I'm an agent.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
But as far as the content is concerned, I'm always trying to get some type of motivational message out there, some type of advice on how to sell, some type of advice on new tools that might be available. I will yelp about you forever, because this has been something that's been enriching my business. It's been a good thing. I think it's a good value.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Why, you hired a virtual assistant from us. What has been the good value, or how has it shifted your business?
Well, you got to take a historical look at it. I've been self-employed now since I was 23.
Hmm.
I've got another business in New York, real estate investment. I've done, well, not just New York, I've invested in properties in a few different areas. And I owned a marketing company in the .com days.
Yeah.
So, I've had employees. I've had 25 at one point.
Mm.
Here's the thing. When you've got someone supporting you in your business, and there's always a certain amount of admin stuff. The last person I had before RA, or a couple people before him, was a lovely young lady. I'm still friends with her. And she was sensational. She cost me at least twice as much, probably more, not to mention that I had to house her in a facility. I have to pay payroll taxes and insurance.
Yep.
And, there's this stuff that goes along with that. And now what? Well, she got engaged, and her and her husband are starting a business, and we're still friends. I still like her very much, and I like to joke around and say, oh, and you have to go and live your life. But on a very serious note, the next 2 or 3 people that I tried to replace her with, it just didn't work out. Sure. And it's just, even if you get someone today, the likelihood of keeping them for more than a year, which as every year passes, it passes faster and faster for me. You need some type of consistency. Mm-hmm. MyOutDesk can't do everything. They can't run down the street and get a sandwich, but they could order it.
And they could have it delivered.
And
they could have it delivered.
And they can be so abundantly cautious with everything that you have. My credit card numbers, which he has, which he doesn't want to have, by the way. He really doesn't, but he will be abundantly cautious, more so than I've had with their American counterparts. And I could just tell you, dollar for dollar, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. What are some of the best tasks that you've had him do that you're like, oh, thank goodness for RA, my virtual assistant?
Sure. I think the most well-defined is the weekly email that he puts out for me.
Yep.
I think it's also getting on to LinkedIn and strategically inviting and commenting on certain people that I want to be associated with, namely people within Douglas Elliman Real Estate, my company.
Right.
I think that I will be in the car, as if there's realtors listening, and know there are, and suddenly the client says, oh, look over there, I see a lockbox, why don't we just go in? Well, you can't say, well, no, I just can't go in. Boom, speed dial RA, he gets right on it, he gets right in touch with them, and he gets us in, and I don't have to think. I mean, I just know that it's going to get done. To me, that's the biggest relief. I just want to make sure that it gets done. Now, this deal with this client today who wants to invest in property, and I want to invest with them, RA is going to do all the comps for me. He's going to make all the spreadsheets for me. He's going to take a predetermined formula. He's running TC Docs, our document process of all this, to the point where I may be able to sell that as a service to other realtors.
Sure.
I never considered that before. But, I think the list goes on, but it's peace of mind is everything. You have to sleep at night, and you could get that out of somebody like RA.
That's perfect. All right. Well, Ed, thanks for being here today. You've added a lot of value to our audience. I think we want to make sure everybody knows about your think tank and how to get. So in the show notes, we've got the Facebook group. We're going to put those in those notes so that you can actually click on them and just go invite. And it's a free thing. And I know, Ed, you would love to have more agents participating.
I'd love to, particularly outside of places like New York, California, but even that would be great. And I'd love to connect with you on Instagram, Edmund with the U, EDMUND, BOGEN. Please, you friend me, I'll friend you back. And I'd love to get to know you and learn all about your business. That's terrific.
There you go. All right, Ed, thanks again for being here today. It's been awesome.
Thank you.